Time to get you caught up with what's trending. Mike, this is interesting. Former heavyweight world titleist Deontay Wilder told ESPN on Monday that he will definitely exercise his right to an immediate third fight with Tyson Fury. Under the terms of the deal for the rematch, both sides had the right to invoke an immediate third fight regardless of the result. Wilder also said in the article that he had no legs in the fight. Before the fight began.
You know what that usually means if something happened, then, they say.
No, it wasn't that.
Wasn't that?
No.
What was it?
He said it was the 40-pound suit that he wore into the ring.
When he walked into the ring?
When he walked into the ring celebrating Black History Month.
I guess we're going to discuss that at some point.
That may come up.
Yeah.
Just going to throw that one out there.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Fury got carried in, so sometimes pre-fight strategy matters. And I'm just saying.
So the Fitbit for Fury didn't have a lot of steps.
Probably like 12. Deontay had like 6,000 before he got into the ring. Then there's this. Hand size season, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man.
We're here. Heisman Trophy winner Joe Burrow, who, let's be clear, coming off the greatest season ever in college football history for a quarterback. Hand size measured of all of 9 inches at the NFL Combine. Not good. According to ESPN Stats and Info, the length from pinky to thumb was tied for the smallest among first-round quarterbacks measured at the Combine since 2008. Ryan Tannehill, who went to the AFC Championship game last year, and Jared Goff, who went to the Super Bowl the year before. The others, whose hand sizes happen to be around the same size, also happen to be instructed by current Bengals coach Zach Taylor, who, of course, has the number 1 overall pick.
What was his hand size
Joe Burrow.
again?
9 inches. 9 inches.
You
got
I still want to work here, so I can't say what
Okay.
I'm gonna say. All right, What's Trending is brought to you by Redbox. Don't miss award-nominated Ford versus Ferrari starring Matt Damon and Christian Bale. Rent it now at Redbox for under $2 a night. You're like putting it up.
It
on
writes
a tee,
itself.
It
writes itself.
How quickly you have to put hand in there after you give the measurement, or
Yeah, it's a problem. And then there's Jake Fromm, who, by the way, whose hand size measured 8 7/8.
I mean, again, just saying that, you'd be like, okay, but, then in context of the hand,
Well, let me put it this way.
not so good.
Patrick Mahomes, his hand size measured 9 1/4 inches. So his hand was 1/4 of an inch.
1/4 of an inch bigger than Joe Burrow, and he's the best quarterback in the league
I was
right
about to
now.
say, that really held him back.
Really
held him back.
Joe, do you have Joe Burrow's tweet?
I do.
Joe Burrow tweeted about this. It's Joe Burrow just wins in Twitter world.
He has won all of 2019, and he's continuing the winning in 2020. Joe Burrow tweet. Considering retirement after I was formed, the football will be slipping out of my tiny hands. Please keep me in your thoughts.
It's awesome. And then Mahomes jumped in on it as well.
Yeah.
He tweeted, again, his hands are only 1/4 of an inch larger than Burrow's. Quote tweet with, my small hands are doing all right so far. I believe in you.
It's great stuff.
It's awesome. Because, listen, you know my feeling of the Combine.
Yeah.
We differ a little bit on it. Maybe I go too far overboard
No,
one way.
I think you're accurate.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, just come on, okay? Hand size.
Well,
we're talking about hand size.
Well, remember, that's what Brandon Allen, the former Arkansas quarterback, his hands, I think, measured 8 1/2 inches at the pro day.
Right.
And then
he did exercises,
He went to a massage specialist, and suddenly his hands grew to 8 7/8 by the time they got to the Combine. And I will say this, it probably helped him, whether it should or shouldn't have. It probably helped him, and then he actually played pretty well for the Denver Broncos this year when he got into a game.
So do you think Joe will do some hand exercises?
I think Joe's good.
Yeah.
I think Joe's good.
Again, I would love to hear what somebody says when you tell them Pat Mahomes is 1/4 of an inch bigger and is the best quarterback in the league. And I'm sure the answer will be, well, it wasn't 9.
Yeah.
It was 9 1/4.
I can't. The interesting thing, so here's what you need to understand, is that if Joe Burrow does not end up with the Cincinnati Bengals, it will have nothing to do with his hand size being only 9 inches.
It would be all to do with his decision, which others have made before.
Correct.
In this league. The two you'll know the most, John Elway and Eli Manning.
Right. So all of this is time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. So it just feels like, look, I'm not saying it's going to happen,
right.
But it certainly feels like there is a level of uncertainty about how much Joe Burrow feels happy about the idea of going to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, and listen, I'm from Cleveland, so people in Cincinnati are going to think I'm taking a shot at Cincinnati. I'm not. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Your franchise is bad.
Yep.
It is a bad franchise.
Yep.
And they've had high pick after high pick after high pick, and they're not getting much better. So, in all honesty, insert name here, I don't want to go play in Cincinnati. I mean, is that spot the lie, okay? Yep. I mean, I get it. You'd be the number one pick. You make a lot of money. I get all that. But as far as going and playing for that organization, it has not gone well for a lot of people. So when you hear somebody say they don't want to play there, and I know what people are going to say, you go where you're drafted, and most people, listen, 99.9% of the people do.
Yes.
What now we're getting the smoke here. Is there going to be fire? And I'd really like to know if he's going to go down this road, like what's the best route? If anybody realized, and you correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Trey, Green and I were doing at the draft of the Eli draft. We were at that draft doing radio. And Eli had said all along, right? Don't draft me, don't draft me, don't draft me. I'm not playing for you.
Correct.
And they drafted him anyway. I'm talking about the Chargers. They drafted him, and they still drafted him. And they actually worked out that trade right then and there. We saw it all happen right on the floor there, and they worked it out. So I guess my question is, if something like this is going to happen, what is the best route to go? Because the Mannings were very public with this. Is this something you should be very public with? Is it something that should be done behind the scenes? Is it something where the agent calls Cincinnati and say, listen, we don't want to sit there and make it look embarrassing or whatever, but we're not going to play for you. So do whatever you need to do, trade the pick. For whatever reason, you do what you want to do, but understand it's not going. I don't know that. I've never obviously been in this position. I don't know the best way to go about if, in fact, this really is going to happen.
Well, the interesting thing there is the two times you just mentioned, it was very public both times.
Very public.
Not only for
times.
Eli, but for John Elway.
Yep.
And John Elway had that press conference after the Colts drafted him. He said, I told you not to draft me because I wasn't going to go there.
Exactly.
And of course, they ended up trading him to Denver for, among other players, Chris Hinton, the offensive lineman, who went on to have a fine career. He just wasn't John Elway.
Right.
You know, he just wasn't John Elway.
Wasn't John Elway.
He was a really good player.
So
he just wasn't John
Cincinnati,
Elway.
if you're going to get this information, Cincinnati needs to do what's best for them, obviously, in that situation. And again, this is all speculation, and this is what happens before the draft.
Right.
Because we heard Joe Burrow's dad almost immediately say after the season, my kid's going to go anywhere, right? If Cincy takes him, we're going to Cincy.
And then you realize maybe you have some control over your own destiny.
Yeah, and you have a little bit of leverage, and are you going to use it? So this is the beauty and the ugliness of around the draft.
Correct.
Is you have zero idea what to believe because there's so much misinformation out there.
And Carson Palmer, who, of course, was the number one overall pick of the Bengals in 2003, I believe, or 2004. 2004. 2003? It was 2003, yeah. You know, he's been very public about what he felt about the Bengals organization when he was there. He retired to get out of Cincinnati, basically.
He did. Basically said, I got $50 million in the bank. I don't have to be here.
Correct.
Ended up with the Raiders. Yeah.
They said he never felt like they were committed to winning a Super Bowl. And, of course, Jordan Palmer is Carson's brother,
right?
Who was working with Joe Burrow. And Jordan will join us tomorrow to talk about what's going on there. And Burrow did have that message with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram that basically said, I have some leverage here. They have their plan.
That's all he said.
That's all he said. So, listen, let me put it this way. He's certainly not closing the door on the idea of going down that road. And it's going to make the run-up to the draft very interesting with some other teams who have a lot of quarterback needs.
You know what he may say? He may say, I'm going to take my 9 inches and go somewhere else.
Oh, dear God.
I mean, it writes itself.
It does.
Seriously,
it
Cliff,
does.
Nothing on that?
That was not bad.
I mean, I guess they're just too easy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Low-hanging fruit. All of that is Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only
you
at
didn't even
Walmart.
mean it.
I didn't even. All right, coming up next, we'll get back to the celebration of life that we saw Monday morning, Pacific time, Monday afternoon, East Coast time on Kobe Bryant. And we'll let you hear from all of the greats who were there, and some of the things they said were remarkable. We'll get to that after this.
All right, AutoZone has the free services you need to help you get back on the road, like their free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It analyzes your specific vehicle information, code, and mileage together to help identify the most likely cause of your check engine light being on. If you're having trouble starting your car, AutoZone is going to test your battery for free, help you find the issue so you don't spend money on parts you don't need. And with over 5,600 locations nationwide, AutoZone is here to help you save time and money with their free services. Get the job done, or getting the job done, just got easier. Restrictions do apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Back after this, Golic and Wingo.